Introduction: Indian society is multifaceted to an extent perhaps unknown in any other of the world's greatest civilizations. Virtually no generalization made about Indian society is valid for all the nation's groups. Comprehending the complexities of Indian social structure has challenged scholars and other observers over many decades. A look into the structure of the composition of Indian society will therefore be quite a difficult task without establishing a broad framework. In the following paragraphs, we will look into the population profile of the Indian nation and analyze it in terms of life in the villages, towns, cities, and the life of the tribes of India, analyze the rural-urban, male-female sex ratio of Indian population, and describe the important features of religious and linguistic composition of the Indian population, as well as look into the educational scenario and culture in India, as well as politics in India. Urban-rural population composition in India. The rural population consists of small-sized settlements scattered over the countryside. Urban population is one that lives in large-sized settlements, that is, towns and cities. However, more importantly, this division is based on occupational structure in India. Rural area is defined as one where 3/4 or more of its population is engaged in primary occupations such as farming, animal rearing, forestry, fishing, quarrying, etc. On the other hand, urban area is one where 3/4 or above of its population is engaged in non-agricultural activities such as manufacturing, trade, transport, communication, banking and social services like health, education, administration, etc. Now let us look at the table showing the rural and urban population of India from 1901 to 2001. The total population of India spreads over more than 5.8 lakhs of villages and 4,615 towns. India proverbially is considered to be a country of villages. Even today, about 72% of the total population of India lives in villages. But the proportion of rural population has been decreased in each successive census. Consequently, the proportion of urban population to total population has been increasingly slow but steady. It was as low as 10.8% in 1901 and rose to 27.8% by 2001. The question arises, why is it so? It is because the rate of growth of urban population is higher than the total rural population in contrast to an average growth rate of about 21.34% in 2001. The urban population has registered a growth rate of 31.13%. However, all this growth is not a result of only the natural increase of population. In fact, much of the growth of urban population is due to high rate of migration of people from rural and urban areas. This also indicates a slow change in the occupations of people from primary to secondary and tertiary activities. Very often, limits of municipal or city corporation areas are extended to cover neighboring villages or suburbs. Half of the total urban population of India lives only in 5 states. These 5 states are Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Andhra Pradesh. Gujarat, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and Union Territory of Delhi have about 32% of urban population of the country. Rest of the urban population is spread over the remaining states and union territories. According to 2001 census, 35 cities have more than 1 crore population each. They are called the metropolitan or million-plus cities. These 35 metropolitan cities alone account for 37.8% of the total population. If this trend continues, India will have more than 50 metropolitan cities in India at the time of 2011 and will have half of the urban population of the country. This highly rapid growth of metropolitan cities will bring several problems like supply of housing, electricity, water, school, dispensaries, ration shops, etc. The distribution of metropolitan cities in India are as follows. All the 35 metropolitan cities are arranged in terms of descending orders of population. These are Great Mumbai, Kolkata, Delhi, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Pune, Surat, Kanpur, Jaipur, Nagpur, Patna, Indore, Vadodara, Bhopal, Coimbatore, Ludhiana, Kochi, Visakhapatnam, Agra, Varanasi, Madurai, Meerut, Nasik, Jabalpur, Jamshedpur, Asansol, Dhanbad, Faridabad, Allahabad, Amritsar, Vijayawada and Rajkot. About 27.2% of the total population of India lives in urban areas. The proportion of urban population to the total has been increasing steadily at a faster pace. The rate of growth of urban population in the country is higher than the rate of growth of rural population. The cities which have a population of more than 1 crore each are called metropolitan cities. There are 35 metropolitan cities as per 2001 census. Composition of India according to gender. Sex ratio refers to the number of females per thousand males of an area. According to the census of 2001, there are only 933 females per thousand males. So the sex composition in India is unfavorable. It means there are less number of females than the number of males. When the number of females is more than the males, it is said to be favorable. As far as states are concerned, only Kerala has a favorable sex ratio. It has the highest sex ratio in the country. The lowest sex ratio among states is found in Haryana. Among the union territories, Pondicherry has the highest sex ratio in the country with females per thousand males, whereas the lowest sex ratio is found in Daman and Diu, where there are 709 females per thousand males. The significant trend with regard to the sex ratio in the country is that has been a steadily declining. Expect some marginal increases in the year 1951, 1981 and now in 2001 census. Sex ratio in India. The major reasons for the declining sex ratio in India are the higher rate of maternal mortality and higher child mortality among the female children. These two causes are related to the comparatively lower status of the women in our society. Apart from this, our socio-religious values and beliefs like male preference in our society are responsible for the declining sex ratio. The female mortality rate is likely to be reversed with the improving status of the women and also due to better Medicare facilities and education, particularly of the females. The improved Medicare facilities have helped in checking the rate of child mortality and the deaths of mothers during childbirth. Linguistic composition. India has also great deal of linguistic diversity like physical environment. The languages spoken and their dialects number is in hundreds. In 1961 census, 1,652 languages were listed as mother tongues in India. Out of these, only 23 languages together accounted for 97% of total population of the country. Out of these 23 numerically major languages, Constitution of India recognizes only 18 languages besides English in the 8th schedule of the Constitution. These languages are Assamese, Bengali, Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, Marathi, Gujarati, Oriya, Punjabi, Kashmiri, Sanskrit, Konkani, Sindhi, Nepali, Manipuri, Urdu. Language is an important constituent of culture, and various languages and their dialects are spoken in different parts of India. It makes Indian culture rich and diversified. Also, the languages have an almost incomplete religion identity in the country, and the distribution of major languages has been considered as a basis of reorganization of states after independence. On the basis of numerical strength, India can be divided into 12 principal linguistic regions. So, linguistic region in an area in which most of the people speak a common language. The languages forming linguistic regions in India are Kashmiri, Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu, Bengali, Assamese, Oriya, Gujarati, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam. The speakers of the languages of Dravidian family are more numerous in southern part of India. Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Kerala are the states where these languages are spoken by the majority of population. A large number of tribals living in a peninsular plateau region also speeches of this family. The speaker of the languages of Indo-Aryan families are concentrated more in northern part of the country and also in central parts. The entire North India plain is inhabited by the speakers of this family. Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh also have large population of speakers of these languages. The proportion of the speakers of languages of different families in the total population varies significantly. While the Aryans, languages are spoken more by than 70% of the people. The Sino-Tibetan languages are spoken by only about 0.85% of the population, and Dravidian languages are spoken by about 20% of the people. Education in India. The history of education in the Indian subcontinent began with the teaching of traditional elements such as Indian religions, Indian mathematics, Indian logic, at early Hindu and Buddhist centers of learning such as Taxila, Pakistan and Nalanda. Before the Common Era, Islamic education became ingrained with the establishment of the Islamic empires in the Indian subcontinent. In the Middle Ages, while coming of the Europeans, later brought Western education to colonial India. A series of measures continuing throughout the early half of the 20th century ultimately laid the foundation of education in the Republic of India. According to the census of 2011, every person above the age of 7 years who can read and write in any language is said to be literate. According to this criterion, the 2011 survey holds the national literacy rate to be around 74.7%. Government statistics of 2001 also hold the rate of increase in literacy is more in rural areas than in urban areas. Female literacy was at a national average of 65%, whereas the male literacy was 82%. Within the Indian states, Kerala has shown the highest literacy rates of 93%, whereas Bihar averaged 63.8% literacy. The 2001 statistics has indicated that the total number of absolute non-literates in the country was 304 million. In today's Indian society, access to quality education has become a major preoccupation of all people from all parts of society. Education is seen as a way to better one's life by all sections of Indian society and a major investment in the future. It is hoped that the education system of India will help to address many of the inequities and injustices that have existed in Indian society for several millennia. Culture of India. The culture of India refers to the way of life of the people of India. Indian languages, religions, dance, music, architecture, food, and customs differ from place to place within the country. The Indian culture, often labelled as an amalgamation of several cultures, spans across the Indian subcontinent and includes traditions that are several millennia old. We often find that irrespective of the different religions, beliefs that exist across the country, the culture of every Indian village in other aspects of daily life is almost the same, showing that India indeed is one country. Many people who practice religions that were brought into the country from outside have adopted many of the traditional customs and practices that are native to this country, making Indian culture cut across religions' differences. Architecture. The most well-known example of Indian architecture is the Taj Mahal, built by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan to honor his third wife, Mumtaz Mahal. It combines elements of Islamic, Persian, Ottoman Turkish, and Indian architectural styles. India also has many ancient temples. Arts. India is well known for its film industry, which is based in Mumbai and is often referred to as Bollywood. The country began as a major producer of movies in the 1930s. Today, the films are known for their elaborate singing and dancing, and Bollywood produces more films per year than Hollywood. Indian dance has a tradition of more than 2,000 years. The major classical dance traditions are Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Odissi, Manipuri, Kuchipudi, Mohiniyattam, and Kathakali. Draw on themes from mythology and literature and have rigid presentation rules. Clothing. Indian clothing is closely identified with the colorful silk saris worn by many of the country's women. The traditional clothing for men is the dhoti, an unstitched piece of cloth about 5 yards long that is tied around the waist and legs. Men also wear kurta, a loose shirt that is worn about knee length. For special occasions, men wear a sherwani, which is a long coat that is buttoned up to the collar and down to the knees. Customs and celebrations. The country celebrates Republic Day, Independence Day, and Mahatma Gandhi's birthday. There are also a number of religious festivals that are celebrated all over the country. Politics of India. Indian politics takes place within the framework of a federal-style parliamentary democratic constitutional republic, in which the President of India is the head of the state and the Prime Minister of India is the head of the government. Nominally, executive power is exercised by the President and is independent of the legislature. Legislative power is vested in both the government and the two chambers of the Parliament of India, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Federal and state elections generally take place within the multi-party system, although this is not enshrined in law. The judiciary is independent of the executive and the legislature, the highest national court being the Supreme Court of India. India is the world's largest democracy in terms of citizenry. India is, as a nation, has labelled as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic like the United States. India has a federal form of government. Since it adopted its constitution, however, the central government in India has greater power in relation to its states, and its central government is patterned after the British parliamentary system. The central government has the power to dismiss state governments under specific constitutional clauses or in case no majority party or coalition is able to form a government. The central government has also imposed direct federal rule known as President's Rule. Locally, the Panchayati Raj, system has several administrative functions and authorities. For most of the years since independence, the federal government has been led by the Indian National Congress. The two largest political parties have been the INC and the Bharatiya Janata Party. Although the two parties have dominated Indian politics, religion parties also existed. From 1950 to 1990, barring the two brief periods, the INC enjoyed a parliamentary majority. The INC was out of power between 1977 and 1980 when the Janata Party won the election due to public discontent and the promulgation of emergency by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. In 1975, in 1989, a Janata Dal National Front coalition in alliance with the Left Front coalition won the elections, but managed to stay in power for only 2 years. Indian democracy has been suspended once. More than a fifth of parliament members face some criminal charges and around 40 of them are accused of serious criminal charges. The ethnic and linguistic diversity of Indian civilization is more like the diversity of an area as variably as European than like that of any single nation state. Living within the embrace of the Indian nation are vast members of different religion, social, and economic groups, each with different cultural practices. Throughout the country, religious differences can be significant, especially between the Hindu majority and the large Muslim minority and other Indian groups. Buddhists, Christians, Jains, Jews, Parsis, Sikhs, and practitioners of tribal religions all pride themselves on being unlike members of other faiths. Access to wealth and power varies considerably, and vast differences in socio-economic states are evident everywhere. The poor and the wealthy live side by side in urban and rural areas. It is common in city life to see a prosperous, well-fed man or woman chauffeured in a fine car pass gaunt streets, dwellers huddled beneath burlap shelters along the roadway. In many villages, solid cement houses of landowners raise not far from the flimsy thatched shacks of landless laborers. Even when not so obvious, distinctions of class are found in almost every settlement in India. Urban-rural differences can be immense in the Indian society. In villages, mud-plastered walls ornamented with traditional designs, dusty lanes, herds of grazing cattle, and the songs of birds at sunset provide typical settings of the social lives of most Indians. In India's great cities, however, millions of people live amidst cacophony, roaring vehicles, surging crowds, jammed apartment buildings, busy commercial establishments, loudspeakers blaring movie tunes, while breathing the poisonous of industrial and automotive pollution. Gender distinctions are pronounced. The behavior expected of men and women can be quite different, especially in villages, but also in urban centers. Prescribed ideal gender roles help shape the actions of both sexes as they move between family and the world outside their home. Cross-cutting and pervading of all of these differences of region, language, wealth, status, religion, urbanity and gender is the special feature of Indian society that has received more attention from observers' caste. The people of India belong to thousands of castes and caste-like groups, hierarchically ordered, named groups into which members are born. Caste members are expected to marry within the group of fellow caste, rules pertaining to diet, avoidance of ritual population, and many other aspects of life. Given the vast diversity of Indian society, any observation must be tempered with the understanding that cannot apply to all Indians. Still, certain themes and underlying principles of life are widely accepted in India.